Hello, my amazing artists. Today, let's talk all about quilting. Before we start, I want to know what you know about quilting. Think about it. Does anyone at your house have a quilt? Have you seen one? Have you ever wondered how they are made? Quilting is the term given to the process of joining layers or pieces of fabric together through hand stitching or using a sewing machine. I thought this quilt was a great example to kick off our unit because it's actually one of the earliest existing decorative works. It's called the Tristan Quilt, and it was made around 1360 in Sicily. That's 661 years ago. Wow! Can you see all the details? They didn't have sewing machines back then, so this was all made by hand, sewing all the details in the pictures here. Let's check out more history. All right. In the United States, about 170 years ago, quilting was for survival. During the 1850s, families were traveling west. Currently, we live on the East Coast, so families were traveling west to find new land and establish new homes. It was not an easy trip. It took a long time, and people were traveling by horse and wagon. The quilts were made of old scraps of clothing, and they were made before the trip happened. Mothers and women of the home made these quilts together, called sewing bees or quilting bees. They made these to keep warm because where they were traveling was very cold, but they also used these quilts to create walls inside their log cabins for privacy, for beds, for seats, or for anything that would be needed for comfort. Check out this log cabin. Do you see the quilt? It looks warm to me. Notice the map. Can you find the wagon pulled by the horse? It's heading west, which is the left direction of the map. The families had a long ways to go to get to Utah, California, Washington State, and Oregon. During a similar time in our country, but in the Southeast, there were quilts being made for freedom. Slaves and abolitionists, which are people who were against slavery and wanting the end of slavery to happen, were creating quilts that had secret codes. They used fabric scraps and designed coded message into them that would communicate to groups of people looking to escape slavery. They were hung in windows or on fences so that someone walking by would just think someone was doing laundry. But in fact, they were sending a secret message to communicate when a group of people would be escaping slavery and traveling north to freedom. This usually happened at night, and it was very dangerous to do. Harriet Tubman, pictured here, was one of the most famous leaders of this Underground Railroad group. Here are some of the famous codes used in the freedom quilts. Notice how the North Star was to represent or give directions to someone, saying, "Look to the skies to help you navigate the way. Follow the North Star to Canada." These codes were used as directions to help people escape to travel north to freedom. Over 100 years later in our country, we started seeing a shift in the world of quilting. Textile factories were coming up and being popular. Blankets and quilts were being made in factories and mass-produced. So, quilting was happening mainly through textile artists. They were using fabric, both old and new, and creating quilts in community centers or artist studios. They were hand sewing and using machines, but artists have started drawing, painting, collaging, and using other art supplies to embellish their quilts. These are no longer traditional to what we've seen with the Pioneer or the Freedom quilts, but they take on their own meaning. Artists have created these quilts to celebrate the art form, to tell a story, express opinions, or ideas about the world that they want to share with others. Take a minute and compare the purposes of these quilts from the different time periods we discussed. Remember, the Pioneer quilt was for protection. keeping someone warm as they traveled across the country to new and uncharted territories. The Freedom Quilt was used to send coded messages to help slaves escape to freedom. And the art gallery quilts, used to express opinions, ideas, thoughts, or memories to others through the works of art through quilting. Okay, artist, now it's your turn to make your own quilt square. A quilt block is just one portion of a large quilt, and you're going to make your own design by picking a unique design, picking up to 3 colors, and then arranging those colors in an interesting pattern. After you glue your paper pieces down, if you're working here in class, you're going to take a picture and submit it on Empower. If you're a remote learner, you're going to be using our digital quilt art link pictured here. Here are the designs and the colors that we'll be using on campus today. Think about which one you want to use today, and write the letter of the design and the names of the colors on the sticky note that I've given you. If you're using paper and glue today, you're going to use crayons as well to first map your colors. Decide which block or triangle you want your colors to go in. Then you'll glue your papers that are in the same colors to your design that look just like quilting fabric. Be sure to do a wiggle check to make sure nothing's falling off. And if you are one of my virtual learners or one of my campus learners and you want to keep learning, check out our toytheater.com website. This website allows you to design your own quilt block design, and you can still use up to 3 colors. I can't wait to see your work. Be sure to take a picture and send it to me. Happy making, artists!